Next, we're going to start learning how to use multiple ingredients and the algebra method. Because the reality is that most of the time in rations, we're going to have multiple ingredients. You guys look at those feed labels many of you brought in, and there's a long list of ingredients. And so how do you formulate rations to handle more than 2 ingredients? There's 2 ways we can handle it algebraically that are easy without getting into weird things like simultaneous equations and stuff like that, which frankly, I don't want to do either. So we're going to take a look at doing it through either fixing an ingredient, which will be this video subject, or the next video subject is going to be making a mix of a couple ingredients to get them in the ration. So like we've done before, I think the best way to learn this stuff is through examples. So we're going to take a look at this example. We're going to formulate a ration that's going to be let me get rid of that color. That's not a pretty color. That is 16% crude protein using corn, soybean meal, and the new caveat is that there is 2% of the ration, dry matter, is a premix. That doesn't have any protein, but it is definitely taking up space. Assume all of this information is on a dry matter basis as we work through how to do these as a teaching tool. So if we take this information and we take a look at our ration, we know we've got corn in there. We know we're going to have soybean meal. Those are the bulk of our 2 ingredients. But we've also got this third ingredient that's coming in, and that's this premix. So we know that collectively these 3 ingredients are going to make up 100% of our complete ration. What do we do from there? Well, the first thing we're going to do is assign X to the feed with the highest amount of the nutrient. That's just like we've done before. In this case, it is soybean meal, so that becomes X. And so we've assigned our X to the one that's got the highest amount of the nutrient of interest. In this case, it's protein. Next, we know that this premix is supplying 2% of the total diet. So we know how much that is. So what we're going to need to do is figure out what's our remaining space to work with. That leaves 98% that we're working with minus X. So basically, for this fixed ingredient problem, we're working with this space right here. We don't have 100% of the ration. We only have 98% of it to put our corn and soybean meal in because 2% of this ration is already occupied by this premix. So we're figuring out what our available space is in the ration to be able to solve for. So if we were to set up this equation, whoops, sorry, that went too far. That's your practice problem. We'll get to that in a minute. So if we get over to our whiteboard, and let's start setting up our equation. We know that our requirement is 16% crude protein. That's the requirement. We know that we're going to have 3 feeds in this one. The first feed that we're going to have is soybean meal, which is our X, which is 0.50 times X. That's soybean meal. We're going to add in corn grain, which was 0.1 or 10% times 98 minus X. Okay, so that's corn. And just remember, we're not working out of 100% because we also now have our third ingredient, which contains 0% protein, but does take up 2% of the ration. That's the premix. So what we wind up having is 3 ingredients that are going to come together and meet our needs for this 16% protein diet. So from here, we're able to solve it like we would the regular problems that we did in the last video series. We take our 16, which is going to equal 0.5x, plus 9.8 minus 0.1x. Reminder, we have to work this 10% clear through the parentheses, plus 0. Again, the same concept. So it's always that amount times the nutrient concentration. And just to help keep us organized, we're going to find our like terms, whole number, like term, whole number, like term. Same with the x's. And just make sure that we remember that this minus sign is with that 0.1. So now we can combine our like terms. So to combine like terms, we're going to subtract 9.8 and 0. Hopefully we can do that math in our head. The 9.8 from this side as well. That leaves us with 6.2 equals 0.4x. So if we combine all of our like terms, that's what we get. The next step is to divide 0.4 for both sides by 0.4. And when we do that, the 0.4 cancels out. And we're going to wind up with x equaling, make sure I got the right numbers, I already recorded this once and wrote down the wrong numbers, 15.50% soybean meal. We always have to solve for the 98 minus x as well, and that gives us 82.50% corn. Okay, and so we also have the 2% of the premix. So that's how we used a fixed ingredient to solve this ration for corn and soybean meal, our two unknown feeds. Let's take a look at that practice problem, and it's the same type of a format, similar type of a diet that you're going to be working with. The numbers are a little bit different, so make sure you pay attention to that. But go ahead and take a stab at solving this practice problem, and then when you're ready, go ahead and just like pause the video and then go ahead and play it, and I will have walked through the solution for you as well. And just a reminder, this is out of 99 now, not 100% or 98 because of the fixed ingredient. So just remember to make sure that you pay attention to those fixed ingredients and how much space they take. Because in this example, that premix takes up 1%. So that's what the base equation should look like. 0.5x plus 0.09 times 99 minus x plus 0 times 1 for that premix. You can get to where you don't have to add in the premix, but initially I'd like you to make sure you have all the feeds together. So if we were to continue to solve this, and don't forget to find your like ingredients, or like numbers. So we've got whole number, whole number, whole number, minus x, the other x, all the x's, and consolidate those like terms. Divide both sides by 0.41. And that leaves you with x equaling 12.41% soybean meal. 99 minus x equals 86.59. corn, and then we have 1% of the premix. That's how you solve a fixed ingredient problem using algebra. That ends this video. Follow up with the next one and learn how to use mixes to handle multiple ingredients.